When I started playing football, and my number was 41. My dad's number was 14. So I always wanted to be the opposite of my father. At that point, we lost everything. We lost our home. We were actually homeless for a while. I remember actually having to work the closing shift at a restaurant, and I would bring food home for my family as a 14-year-old. I was so embarrassed that I lived at the shelter that I didn't even let the bus pick me up, so I actually walked to school in the morning just due to the embarrassment of living there. I almost resented him because, he had went off and got remarried and had a really great life. So there was that feeling of abandonment. My father actually drove from Virginia to my high school during homecoming. He had a camera, he took pictures of me, and I thought it was so embarrassing. I was like, why is he even here? I knew that he wanted to be a part of my life at that point, but I never wanted to reach out because I felt like it was my job to protect my mom. And I felt if I reached out and started this relationship with my father, he would hold that against my mom in some strange way. He called me that Friday saying, I'm not far from Georgia. What are you doing? And I said, well, I'll be home. How about you come by and visit? I felt that moment, something just came over me to say, have him stay here. Open your heart, open your doors, treat him like he's your father. So this was the first time that I actually ever had him intentionally to stay in our home. That date was June 26, 2015, that I opened up and opened my home and opened my heart to have him be here. He literally sat right here. We had a beautiful talk, and we actually were the first time able to talk about forgiveness. And I understand as a father now how he must have felt. I told him I understood where his intentions were, and I don't hold any grudges towards you, and I hope that in the future we can become closer and I can be the son and you can be the father that we wanted to fight for all these years. I opened my heart completely and said, I forgive you, I love you, I understand you, and that's the moment the peace came. And that night, and I remember having to help him up to his room to sleep, and I remember him holding my arm and clutching to it, and so I literally had to help him up the steps. I remember sitting him in the bed. I believe it was the first time I ever gave him a kiss to go to bed. I gave him a kiss on his forehead, said, I love you, Dad, and that was the last thing that I got to say to him. Fast forward, 6 a.m. that next morning, my stepmother comes into the room saying my dad's cold and he's not responsive. I went and I tried to revive him, called 911, and to no avail. They took him to the hospital and he was pronounced dead on arrival. And I just feel like that moment I was able to get with my father before he left this earth was something that God provided us to be able to bring closure. I almost felt like God gave us that opportunity to connect and forgive. There was so much time where I spent fighting him and not loving him or not accepting or forgiving that I wasted a lot of years. And unless you forgive, you just can chain yourself down to that, and it completely can destroy you from the inside out. The moment when you can forgive somebody, you could actually start living completely free, with no restraints, no chains holding you down. During that hard time when we lost everything, all my baby pictures were lost. And then later in life, I found out that my dad had actually been saving so many photos. And those are really the only baby pictures that I have of myself that I actually received later in life from him. So that really has given me a piece of my childhood back, and had no idea that he was saving all those pictures all those years. I am so thankful that I had the chance to be a father, because I can look at it with such a different lens of what to do, what not to do, my hopes, my aspirations, my goals. I can do and be the father that I've always wanted. I can be the father that I dreamt of being. I feel closer to him than I ever have in my life. I feel like he's still sitting here. I feel like I talk to him every day. I see him every day. All right, I love you, Dad.